In this video, we're going to go through the process to set the global permissions for an educator group. As a quick recap, global permissions allow you to set the view policies as well as create and deletion rights of a particular user group. So as an example, you might want a user group and users in that group to only be able to see users and other user groups, but not be able to see any content and things like that. And this is how you would go about doing that. On the left-hand screen, I'm signed into a portal as an administrator, and on the right, I'm signed in as an educator to the exact same portal. So the first thing you'll need to do is go through to your users and make sure you've got an educator group set up. You can set permissions on the root educator level, but these will affect all sub-educator groups that you set up. So it's recommended that you probably don't do that, but just so you're aware, it can be done. So if we come to Space Educators, that's going to be my educator that I've got on the right-hand side of the screen. And if we come to the permissions of that user group, we can see that they currently have everything turned off. And I can demonstrate that on the right by showing you that this educator can't actually see any users or content of any kind at this moment. So in this instance, we might just want this user and this user group to only be able to see other user groups and their users. So what we can do is we can turn view on for the user group and view on for the users. And we'll give the educator on the right a refresh, and we'll see that now we can see all the user groups. And if I click into one as an example, you can see that we can see the users within those groups. But we might not want the user to actually be able to see those users. This might be a particular user group whereby they're in charge of creating user groups and editing them, but they can't actually see the users within them. So what we need to do is we need to turn the global permission off to view a user and turn on the creation and edit rights for user groups. So you'll see now if I refresh this page as the educator, I can come into the all users groups, for instance, and you'll see that the only person I can actually see is myself. And you'll see that I don't have permission to add or import users, which is correct. I haven't got permissions on the left-hand side to do anything like that. But you can see edit group is available, and I can change the name of that and add a description and things like that. These same global permissions apply to library content and other areas. So if I turn off user groups, for example, and then come out of here and go back, you'll see that no groups show, and you'll have noticed that also no library content shows. So if I click on view, you'll see that I can now view all library content, and you'll see that if I click create, and just give this page a quick refresh, you'll see that all that content will disappear, but I do have the rights now to create content. So this is a great permission here to set up a user group of just content creators. So they can create as much content as they want, but they can't view other creators' content. They can only view the content that they have created. And if I was to turn on the edit permission, they'd only edit and view other bits of content. So I'll just turn that off and show you that if I click on create and click on quiz, you'll see it's allowing me to create a quiz as normal. We can click save. I'll leave this as empty, obviously, just for this video demonstration. So there we go. So that now lives there. The reason I can see this, even though I don't have view turned on, is because I am the owner of this particular piece of content. It's similar to when we had user groups turned on. So if I turn that on and I go back to user groups, that yes, I can view all the user groups, but the only person I can actually see in the relevant user groups is myself. So that's why you can see that piece of content there. So another cool feature that you can do is you might want someone who isn't in charge of creating content, but they are allowed to view it and they're allowed to build maybe a course or a collection or something like that. So what we can do down here is we can come to create, and we'll leave library content on because we need to be able to view the content to actually add it to a collection. So if I come to collections now and I give myself a quick refresh, you'll see that I have the right to create a collection. Give that a quick name. And you'll see that when we go to add items to that collection, I can only view the library, and the reason that that's slightly different than normal is if I just go back quickly. Normally, you would notice that you would have the option to create sometimes here, especially if you're an admin, but because I don't have creation rights of library content, I can't actually do that. So I can only select content that's already been created. So this is where you can kind of segregate your teams a little bit and have a team for creating content, a team for creating collections. So if I come into library, you'll see that I can see all of the content as expected. But one thing that's going to be quite interesting for you to see in a second is if I just save this. Let's say I want to assign this collection, so I want to give it to one of our groups. If I go to user groups, you see I actually can't add a user group, and that's because I don't have the rights to view any user groups. So I'll click on view, and I'll just give this a refresh, and you'll see that now, when I click add to user groups, all the user groups are now visible, so I can now assign the content. So hopefully this is giving you an idea of kind of how flexible these permissions are and how useful they are. They're really great for building teams out, so content creation teams, content assignment teams, user group management, exam management, and things like that. You can see from the screen on my left as the admin, the permissions extend to all content areas and user groups. So I do have an experimentation with them. If you do have any questions, obviously get in touch. Your account managers will be more than happy to give you a video demonstration to help you get things set up. And yes, like I said, just please let us know if you have any questions.